At that time, Sarai, Abram's wife, had no children and owned an Egyptian servant named Hagar. Sarai spoke to Abram, "The Lord has prevented me from having children. Therefore, I ask you to join me with my servant. Perhaps then I can have descendants through her." Abram accepted Sarai's request. After 10 years of staying in the land of Canaan, Sarai gave Hagar, her servant, to her husband so that he could take her as his wife. Abram had relations with Hagar, who became pregnant. Upon realizing her pregnancy, Hagar began to despise her lady Sarai. Then Sarai said to Abram, "It's your fault. I gave you my servant, and now that she knows she's pregnant, she looks at me with disdain. May the judgment of the Lord be upon you." But Abram replied, "Your servant is under your authority. Do with her as you think best." Sarai treated Hagar harshly, and she fled. In the desert, near a spring of water on the way to Shur, the angel of the Lord met Hagar and asked, "Where do you come from, and where are you going?" Hagar replied, "I am running away from my lady Sarai." The angel of the Lord commanded him, "Return to your mistress and submit to her." And he made him a promise, "I will multiply your descendants, so that they cannot be counted." He also said to her, "You are with child and will give birth to a son, and you will call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction. He will be a wild man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live apart from his brothers." Hagar called the name of the Lord who had spoken to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "Here also have I seen him who beholds me." Therefore the source was named Beer-Lahai-Roi, and is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore Abram a son, whom he named Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. Later, when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him, saying, "I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be perfect. I will make a covenant with you, and I will greatly multiply your descendants." Abram fell face down on the ground, and God spoke to him, reiterating, "My covenant is with you, and you will be the father of many nations. You will no longer be called Abram, but your name will be Abraham, for I have made you the father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and from your descendants nations and kings will come. I will establish my covenant between me, you, and your descendants, generation after generation, as an everlasting covenant, to be your God and the God of your descendants. I give you the land of Canaan, where you are a foreigner, as an eternal possession for you and your descendants, and I will be their God." God also established a sign for this covenant. "Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin. It shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. At the age of 8, every male among you shall be circumcised, whether born in your house or purchased from a foreigner who is not of your lineage. Circumcision shall be a perpetual sign of the covenant." And God continued, "As for Sarai, your wife, you will no longer call her Sarai, but Sarah will be her name. I will bless her, and also through her I will give you a son. I will bless her, and she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her." Abraham fell on his face and laughed, thinking, "Can a son be born to a man who is 100 years old? And will Sarah, who is 90 years old, be able to give birth?" Abraham asked God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live in your presence." But God answered, "Your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac. With him I will establish my covenant." The eternal covenant was signed with Isaac, the son that Sarah would give birth to Abraham. However, regarding Ishmael, God heard Abraham's pleas and said, "I have blessed him. I will make him a fruitful man and multiply his descendants. He will beget 12 princes and will become a great nation." But God's covenant would be established with Isaac. God ended the conversation with Abraham and withdrew. Abraham then circumcised his son Ishmael, as well as all the men in his house, both those born there and those bought from foreigners, as God had commanded him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and Ishmael was 13 years old at the same time. The Lord fulfilled his promise to Sarah, visiting her as he had said, and she conceived. Sarah bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the time determined by God. Abraham called the name of his son, born of Sarah, Isaac. And as God had commanded, Abraham circumcised Isaac when he was 8 days old. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah, full of joy, exclaimed, "God made me laugh. Everyone who knows will laugh with me." She could not believe that even at her advanced age, she had borne Abraham a son. The boys grew up, and when Isaac was weaned, Abraham threw a big party. Sarah, however, saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, mocking Isaac, and asked Abraham, "Drive out this servant and her son, because the son of this servant will not be heir with my son Isaac." This weighed heavily on Abraham's heart, but God told him to listen to Sarah, for Abraham's descent would be considered through Isaac, although it would also make Hagar's son a great nation. Abraham got up early in the morning, prepared bread and a skin of water, and gave them to Hagar, placing them on her shoulder, along with the boy. He sent them away, and she was lost in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin ran out, Hagar left the boy under a bush and walked away, sitting at a distance as she did not want to see her son die. There, she raised her voice and cried. But God heard the boy's cry and sent an angel from heaven to comfort Hagar, saying, "Do not be afraid, for God has heard the boy's cry. Lift him up and take him by the hand, for I will make him a great nation." God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water. She ran there, filled the bottle, and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, who grew up, lived in the desert, and became an archer. He lived in the desert region of Paran, and his mother found him a wife from Egypt. Later, Abraham took another wife, Keturah, who bore him several sons, Zimram, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. The sons of Jokshan were Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asurim, Lethushim, and Leumim. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. Abraham, before he died, gave all his possessions to Isaac, but he also presented the sons of his concubines with gifts and sent them away from Isaac to the east. Abraham lived 175 years and died at an advanced age, being buried by his sons Isaac and Ishmael in the cave of Machpelah, a field purchased by Abraham, opposite Mamre, from the Hittites. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who began to live near the well of water. Now these are the generations of Ishmael the son of Abraham, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bore to Abraham. Here are the names of Ishmael's sons, according to their generations. Ishmael's firstborn was Nebaioth, followed by Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mizma, Dumah, Massa, Hadar, Tamar, Jeter, Naphis, and Kedar. These are the sons of Ishmael, and by these names were known, according to their cities and fortresses, 12 princes, each ruling his own nation. Ishmael lived 137 years, and at the end of his life he expired, died, and was reunited with his ancestors. His descendants lived from Havilah to Shur, which is next to Egypt, on the way to Assyria. Ishmael died in the presence of all his brothers. As for the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son, it came to pass that Esau realized that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him to Padan Aram to choose a wife from among his relatives. Isaac, when blessing Jacob, gave him a clear command: "You shall not take a wife from among the daughters of Canaan." Jacob, obedient to the instructions of his father and mother, set out for Padan Aram. Esau, upon noticing that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac, went to Ishmael and took for himself, in addition to the wives he already had, Mahalath, daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife.